So how do I talk about the Toronto real estate market without being like ridiculously dramatic right now? Because it's kind of hard to not be a bit dramatic right now. Like, I don't know, did you look up at the sky today? If you're in Toronto, the most ominous sky over the skyline that I have seen in a long time. It's a great representation of the Toronto real estate market right now as well. It's true. I mean, you're reading headlines out there. For the very first time, actually, the headlines do a really good job of representing what's happening in the actual market. There are a ton of new listings on the market right now, week over week. So let's not get too dramatic about that part, because we're coming from the end of the summer, which is historically the least active period of time over the entire year. Even Christmas is usually more active than the last couple of weeks of summer. Granted, people were waiting for the fall market to put their properties on the market, and boy, did they ever. 20.8% increase in house listings week over week. Now, I don't know about you, but that is a pretty big jump. I haven't seen a jump like that since the early days of COVID, when people were absolutely terrified and not knowing what the hell was going to happen. That's a big deal. Condos, 10.8% increase in condo supply week over week. Again, it's not a problem if you don't need to sell, okay? So like, let's put that out there right now. Like, if you're not somebody who's in a position where you need to sell, then stop watching. Well, why the hell are you even watching this and creating anxiety? Don't, go away. I'll give you a moment. Are you gone? Good. You shouldn't be watching stuff like this if you don't need to sell. If you've got a great job, you've got good income, you can afford your monthly payments, even if they've fluctuated, don't pay attention to this stuff that I'm talking about. It's completely unnecessary. And if you can somehow compartmentalize the anxiety and not let it spike in your body, then go, by all means, watch it. But this is meant for people who are actively trying to buy or actively trying to sell right now. And of course, those that are just enthusiasts that are in the market in general, always. Right now, it is very, very true. There are a ton of investor condos on the market right now, as a lot of investors are way underwater. And it's not that they are being forced to sell, but they are panicking into selling. And it's a huge mistake, in my opinion. Right now, if you are somebody that can afford your monthly payments, whatever that net loss might be between what the renter is giving you and what your monthly costs are, then you should be absorbing that as long as you possibly can, because this market will turn around. Now let's talk about the turnaround, because a lot of agents are foolishly talking right now about, oh, there was a rate hold, therefore the market's going to pop off. Like, that's probably the stupidest position you can take as a professional real estate agent, and you're not doing yourself any favors or the industry any favors by taking a position like that, because it's not based in any sort of reality or truth, and it's very, very self-serving. The market is not going to pop off just because there's a rate hold, because there could be a rate increase in October, and that's what a lot of people are indicating could happen. But who are these people that are always indicating whether something's going to happen? Believe me, they don't know any more than you and I do, okay? So this is all just talk to get attention. Whether rates go up or not in October is immaterial. If you are a buyer today, you should be, as a smart buyer, you should lock in the lowest possible rate available to you today and forget about all the noise, because you're not moving because you love it. You're moving because you are interested in making a lifestyle decision. You are trying to get into a different school zone. You want to get into a different neighborhood that's more in line with where your friends are, where your life is, where your family is. All of that stuff matters more than anything else, because Toronto is a place that has, well, it's a world-class city, and you can argue with me until you're blue in the face about it, but you would be wrong. Toronto is a world-class city that has global demand and global attention. Long-term, everything here is going to be just fine. Just because interest rates are not going to go back to basically free like it was during the meat of COVID does not mean that real estate prices will never increase again. That is another foolish position to take. The only thing that's unknown right now is the length of time between now and when the real estate market improves. Hopefully, you are reasonable enough to understand that you can't argue with that statement. If you are somebody who believes that the real estate market in Toronto is doomed forever and prices will never recover, then you need to seek some help, because that is not based in any sort of reality. Our market will recover, we just don't know when our market will recover. That's the one thing that we all have to wrap our heads around. So let's talk about interest rates right now. Let's say there is another increase in October. What does that mean? If there is another increase in October, that means that the market will basically come to a screeching halt, in my opinion. Of course, all of the buyers that have the pre-approvals locked in that survive that increase date, then they will be just fine for a couple months. But if we do have another increase in October, this winter will probably be the slowest and darkest time in Toronto real estate, as there are people that absolutely do have to sell and they have no choice. They have no way to hang on to the property that they have. They bought at the peak and they chose a variable rate that has been fluctuating in payment, not fluctuating, that has been increasing in payments consistently, unless you're on a fixed payment. But if you were even on a fixed payment, you are now just feeling that pain big time. So there are a ton of people that absolutely need to sell. Don't get that twisted with investors who are choosing to sell because they are scared. So right now the market has a ton of available inventory of both of those types of people. People that do need to sell, or three really. One where they have no choice and that the bank has essentially forced the sale, or they are they're going through with the sale ahead of something like that happening, or they are scared and they just don't want to hold on to the property anymore and they just want to take whatever money they can get out of that property and sit on it and potentially wait for an opportunity. But somebody who is panic selling right now who doesn't need to is also probably somebody who is likely to not reinvest that money into a market because they don't have the stomach for it. And that's fine. It's not an insult. It's just fine. There are other ways. You can get a 1-year GIC right now at nearly 6%. Take it and run, man. If you have enough money to put in there, then roll with it. Personally, I don't. I have a higher risk tolerance, which has gotten me into a ton of trouble, by the way, which is why I set a meeting with a financial planner for next week so we can finally get all that stuff under control, because I'm way too smart to be dealing with what I'm dealing with right now. And so are you, by the way. So if you need a good financial planner connection, please let me know. So the market right now is very uncertain. But if you're a buyer, I'm still buying right now. Why not? Like if you're a buyer, then you're making a lifestyle decision. I would just leave something in the tank. You just shouldn't be maxing out right now. And should you get fixed or variable? I mean, that's entirely up to you. You should get a fixed rate if you believe that rates are going to stay high like this for a number of years. You should consider a variable rate if you're going to sell within the next 5 years, whatever it is that you buy today, because it's not always about the rate, right? It's about the terms of the mortgage. Variable mortgages typically have more flexible terms, have more flexible options if you need to sell within that 5-year term or 3-year term, whatever it is that you've signed up for. So it really depends on your exact situation. So don't just focus on the rate. You know, if you're an entry-level buyer, we haven't really seen any of our first-time buyers stay in their first condo or first house for more than 5 years. You might consider a variable because it'll be a lot cheaper for you to break that mortgage when you move and sell. Or ask if it's portable. Can I move this mortgage from one place to another, minimizing my fees? Fixed rates, however, if you lock in at a high rate like this, and I'm just using this as a hypothetical, if you lock in at whatever high rate exists today, and rates continuously go down, intermittently go down over the next couple of years, and if you decide to move on or sell or liquidate or whatever it is, the bank now has to close that mortgage and lend the money out at a cheaper rate. So that's a differential between those two rates. You're going to have to pay more to break a mortgage like that. So it just depends on what your life situation is and what your tolerance for risk is and how your cash flow works. Are you on a fixed income? Then maybe pick that fixed mortgage, because just having that predictable, manageable monthly payment is more important for you. But are you somebody who has the ability to maybe boost your income with maybe the side hustle that you have, or your company is on an upward trajectory, you're an entrepreneur, you're a CEO, whatever it is, then maybe select a variable mortgage, because naturally rates will not be staying at this rate. They are going to be coming down eventually. We just don't know when, and we just don't know how much. And I heard somebody talk last week about rates kind of going up slowly and falling off a cliff. I think that's a misrepresentation of reality. I think rates in this case went up like an elevator, and they'll stay up for a little while, and it'll have a couple of drops, and then it falls off a cliff eventually when the economy needs to be stimulated again. But the falling off a cliff happens after an extended period of time where the rate remains high. Like last March of 2022 is when these rate hikes started. It's not going to decrease as fast as it increased. So let's not get that twisted either. So if I have a property right now and I can afford the monthly payments despite all of the increases in my costs, I'm keeping my property knowing that long term I'll be just fine. But how old are you? Are you close to retirement? Consider selling that now, because cash is more important to you than a real estate asset, especially in your retirement years. You need to enjoy those retirement years. So there are so many different ways to look at your assets and your in your position and what you should be doing, that we need to probably talk about that separately. So book a call. I've got a link in the description below. I always do. Book a 30-minute phone call with me. I never even introduced myself, and I'm like almost 10 minutes into this video. I'm Ara Memorian. I'm the founder of the Spring Team, one of Toronto's most active real estate teams. We do a lot of talking, but we also do a lot of selling, and we do a lot of buying, but also we represent a lot of landlords, tenants, and landlord listings to attract tenants. So we cover the entire market. And right now, in the past week, I have talked investors out of selling, consulted investors, which resulted in them deciding not to sell, and other investors who, showed a path to a different way for them to spend the money, so they decided to sell. So we're putting those on the market right now. We're responsible right now for quite a few of those investor listings. But none of my clients are in a position where they have to sell. They just have a different use for those funds. So they've put their property on the market. They've had them for a number of years. They've got a good equity in there. They're going to take that money and put it into like a multifamily type of investment, which is doing very, very well right now because the rental market is so damn strong. So anyway, we're going to cut it off there this week. I don't think there's any need to go into any more detail here, but please make sure you are a subscriber. If you're not subscribing, it would be like a big honor if you would subscribe. I want to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Can we make that happen? Hopefully. Otherwise, make sure you're subscribed to the newsletter. The link is below as well. And hopefully you'll get these in your inbox instead of just coming across it on YouTube. See you guys. Thanks so much. See you week 185.